Hey everyone, welcome to a new series I'm testing out called Boardgame Roundup, where we'll be taking a look at all the things in boardgaming that have happened over the past week or two, however long I decide to do these videos. But we're going to be breaking down some of the Kickstarters that have capped my eye. We're going to be looking at some of the games coming up in shops that are interesting me, and then we're going to be talking about a bit of controversies. So all board game news, please like, subscribe if you enjoy this style of video. More views it gets, the more I'll continue it on. But first we're going to be looking at Dead Cells, the roguelite board game, and I have given this one a try on, I think it's Tabletopia, but it is a 1 to 4 player game where you have to go through a dungeon and you can die and basically respawn again. And if you respawn again, then you have to start the dungeon completely over. It is an IP, and it's not an IP that interests me, in all honesty. I'm not a fan. I have tried it, and I wasn't a fan of the game. It was fine, but there's much better ones out there, in all honesty. If this had Hades or Castlevania IP slapped on it, then I would be an instant back, in all honesty. Loved Hades, loved the old Castlevanias, loved them style of games, but this one, the IP just isn't there for me. Have played it, didn't finish it, so there we go. But this is the model you get if you go for the deluxe version, and as it says here, you just explore the dungeon. It's all on this flat tiles, and then you got little tiles that you flip over, and then you go through, and then you go on to do some boss fights. And you, of course, the aim of the game is to die, repeat, go again. Same as that Tom Cruise film. That's it. I would be interested in this because the system seems fine. Okay, so I've played this on, as I say, Tabletopia, and it's not badly priced either. It is 53 quid for the core box, which nobody's really going to go for. If you're going to go with the core box, then you may as well wait for it to come to shops, I have to say. So you're going to want the collector's pledge, which is 69 quid, and then add VAT, and then add postage, all that jazz. You're talking around about 90 quid for a board game. And yeah, I don't think there's 90 quid's worth for me personally. Although the card systems and the way that the game works, so this is you got 3 types of attacks basically in the terms of the cards, and you got to try and whittle their health down. So you have so many on the board. I wonder if you can see a better picture of the board. So here, look, you got the boards here. You'll have these 3 enemies right here. Then you'll place your cards. They'll move up, and then based on what level you are, like if you're in the first hits or second hits or third hits, then it'll be on your cards basically. And yeah, so first one's, second one is that one, and then third one would be the next one. And you take it in turns basically. You all have a go, and then you die and come back again. Repeat, repeat, repeat. For me, the combat system is really interesting, and the fact that it has a solo mode built in is again really interesting, but I think the longevity of this one would be the problem for me, because once you've done it once, so you've gone all the way to the end of the game in a one-shot fashion, which probably take you about, what, 2 hours, 3 hours maybe, to one-shot the entire lot completely. I think you'd be bored after that and would probably sell it on. And so longevity-wise is what is lacking for me. I know that they said there's lots of tiles and you can have different dungeon layouts and everything. But once you've done it once, are you really going to want to go back to it every now and again? Maybe once, twice a year? That's on people to say. Me personally, I think I'd be done with it. And so that's why I'm not interested, really. But the IP, if it was different, then it probably would pique my interest. So let's move on. Next up we have All Time Wrestling, the Extreme Edition, which Features some ECW wrestlers. One of my favourites right here is Raven, obviously. And this looks good. I really do think this looks interesting, especially as a wrestling fan. British Bulldog's in it, Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's my favourite wrestler of all time. British Bulldog is another. It looks interesting, but I'm unsure how it actually all plays out. I know that they have a free print and play mode, and you can download the 2-player rules. There is a solo mode in this, but you have to go for a more expensive version. I think it is the big all-in, which is the solo mode. Can't see it. I think it's this one here, isn't it? The 97 quid version. So you get basically everything. You get the big solo mode in the campaign, you get the 2-player game, then you get the new expansion, the mat, and you get a couple of other extras, some card sleeves. So yeah, that is what it is, 97 quid, add VAT, add postage, you're talking 120, 130. Yeah, for me it seems a little bit expensive for what is essentially just a little card game with boards. The wrestling theme obviously is something that I would like, and it features some of my favourite wrestlers, but it doesn't feature enough wrestlers, I feel. I feel as though you should get more custom wrestlers. So I think there's around about 4 or 5 custom wrestlers that they've created. Realistically, as a wrestling fan, you'd want, I don't know, 30. So as you could run your own events type things, you know what I mean? For me, that would be where the longevity would be. So you could have a few wrestlers up and coming, take on the big guys, and then have a champion and a couple of other championships and run your own event type thing with main events and pay-per-views and all that lot, and you can really get into the system. But for me, it doesn't seem to be there, and it is a bit pricey for what it is, I feel. But I would actually like to try it. I think there is a demo of this somewhere on TTS or on Tabletopia. And so I probably will try it in future and maybe pick it up if I can see it cheap enough in shops. Then we have Apex Legends, and I have played this on TTS. I think it's TTS. Yes, it is. Played this on TTS, and I actually really enjoyed the core gameplay of this. Now, my reservations come from the price, because if you just want the standard core pledge, that's 70 quid, postage VAT, you're talking about 190-ish. And I don't think there's enough here in this. It's great having the terrain, it's great having the board, everything like that, but I don't feel there is enough in the standard box for me to say, yes, that is a must back. You get, 5 heroes if you back early. In all honesty, when I played this on TTS, I've played it twice now, I feel as though I'd learnt those heroes already. And for me, that's a big no-no. There's not enough here to warrant the price and the fun aspect. When you get into these skirmish style games, if we talk about Super Fantasy Brawl and stuff like that I've got, or Mythic Battles Ragnarok, that's not Ragnarok, Mythic Battles Pantheon that I've got, there is so much variety there. And when I consider Mythic Battles as well, I paid 100 quid for that second hand. If you want this for 100 quid, it's just not the same. Nowhere near the same. The value for me isn't there. And I think they could have got rid of these player boards, stuck everything separately like these, and everything be tokens. Leave this for a massive upgrade pledge, same as the other stuff, and shove, I don't know, 12, 15 characters in there, and it would have been more appealing. Because the gameplay is really good. The fact it's not dice-based, the fact it's all card-based. I think it's great, gameplay-wise. But I just feel as though the Kickstarter itself hasn't been handled right. And I feel that's why the price it's not over $1 million. This should be over $1 million, shouldn't it? A lot of people have come here with the same thoughts as me, I feel. Especially when you consider it's what, 222 quid? So you're talking 260 maybe for the all-in with everything added. And you still only get, what, 3, 6, 4, 13 characters for the all-in. It's not good enough. It's not. There's not enough variety there. Nowhere near enough variety. You may as well wait for this to come on TTS. Someone will upload it to TTS and then you can just enjoy the gameplay there. For me, that's how I feel, personally. Because this should have been done better. It's a shame. Next up, we have Monster World Iceborne, and I've been watching, because this is delivered, right, the first Monster Hunter, and I had a choice. It was either Monster Hunter, which I am a fan of, or it was Primal, and I went with Primal, and yeah, who knows when that's going to deliver? Who knows? Next year, next Christmas maybe. It's nowhere near anytime soon. Basically, it's very much long-term delayed, but I do think Primal looks better gameplay-wise. The gameplay for this one looks fine. It's a cross between Dark Souls boss fights, which was the best part of the Dark Souls games, let's face it, and a bit of play-your-own adventure type reading through story modes. It looks fine. It's a shame that it's split over all loads of boxes, because that's what these do, Steamforged games. And they have apparently 6 games outstanding. I know Resident Evil, which is the one that I backed, is apparently coming late this year, October-ish, November-ish, apparently. You know, I got smacked with Dark Souls and it took me 3 years to get everything for Dark Souls, so I've always been wary of Steamforged games, and their games being a little bit average. Nothing to shout home about, you know. Oh, let's play some by Steamforged games. Oh, go on then. You know what I mean? That's how I feel with Steamforged games. These games, they are average. Just average. This one seems to have an 8.1, but a lot of people still haven't got this yet, and that needs to settle down, basically. Looking at the playthroughs of Sid, yeah, it still seems average, in all honesty. And I think I worry for these. I mean, they've apparently got rid of folk recently, so they've basically given them a golden handshake to get rid of them. And they have 6 of the games outstanding, so they're very much going into the Mythic Games route, aren't they? Which hopefully they won't ever get to. But this is just an extension of Monster Hunter. And if you've got the Monster Hunter already, I'm sure you'll be getting it. So what's the big pledge? 128 quid, so you're talking, what, 150 if you want everything. Because this is basically just an expansion. That's all it is. It's a paid-for expansion, yet again. So if you're invested in the first Monster Hunter World, you're going to have an absolute boatload of boxes around. What's it with these games lately? You need a Kallax just for a sodding game. It's terrible. But there it is. Tabletop Golf Association is probably the most interesting one that I've seen so far. I don't think I'm backing this one, though. But it is an interesting concept because it's a... What is it? Dexterity game, is it? So 1 to 8 players. And this is it. It's a shame the board and the tiles, in all honesty, look crap. This tile layout, it doesn't interest me in the slightest. I think it looks ugly. If you've ever played golf, like I have, your courses do not look like this. Believe me. They don't look like this, and that's my worry about this, because the tile layouts and everything, and the fact it just looks a bit cheap. It does. It looks a bit cheap. Yes, it says endless replayability and all this lot, but this strikes me as a game that you'll get out once, play for a bit, and then go, oh, you know what, I played that for a while. Oh, let's get it out, and then you'll start flicking the golf ball around, and you'll be like, oh, soddy hell. I've flicked too far, or it's gone off the board, and you'll end up losing it off the end of the table and stuff like that. And so, yeah, 37 quid ain't bad. Let's face it, it's probably, 50 quid if you want to get it posted and everything. But for me, it's just the board. It looks naff, really. I like the idea of flicking the ball across. It looks much better than that other golf game that's out there, which is card-based. I prefer having to flick it around, but the other one looks better with board-wise. So you could do with like a mix of the two, basically. And that is a shame. But price-wise, it isn't that bad. And I should say it's a lot of fun, especially when you get people flicking it across the table and prattling about, as people do with these sorts of things. My pick of the week, though, is Detective Saints and Sinners. So this, I'd never even heard of this, I'll be honest. And it shocked me because this game is right up my alley. Seriously, it really is. So you're a detective and you got like so many cases. I think there's 9 in the main box. And you have to go to the scene of the crime and investigate and go to people and talk to them and everything. And they can lie to you, and you have to decide whether or not they're telling the truth and that one, and trying to find out who the killer is or who's committed the crime. And it's brilliant. I've played this on TTS. There's a demo on TTS for one of the first cases. It's something on a pier, and a woman ended up dead, and I had to go and investigate the mob and find out which one shot her, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. I had so much fun on TTS playing this game, and this game would be right up my alley. It's expensive though. 163 quid if you want everything. Postage, everything, so that's 180 quid. If you want to buy just the main box, so 73 quid here. If you want to pick this up from shops, it's nearly 90 quid over here, so it's like 88 or something like that from like Amazon and whoever else is selling it, and that's basically £10 a case. Yeah, if there's 9 cases in here, that's 10 quid a case, and now you can only play them once, because once you know what it is, that's it. It's done. So this is what's it's not a legacy game, is it? It's just a one and done game. And for me, 90 quid is steep for a one and done game, even though I know I would absolutely adore this. I really would. This game, this is for me. But I am a solo-only player. I would never experience this with anyone else. So I would literally be paying 90 quid to go through the 9 cases on my own, and that's it. And I would literally be only receiving half of the game, or even 1/3 of the game, isn't it? Because you got a game where one person can be the chisel, and then you've got a game where you could play it as co-op. And so I would literally be receiving 1/3 of the game for 90 quid. It's just a shame, really, because I would adore to play this, and I would love to put it on the channel, and I'd love to show it off. I had so much fun playing that one TTS demo, but that's the case in this game. So I would be literally paying 8 cases, 90 quid. Yeah. Such a shame. It's so expensive. I wish the price was cheaper. If I could buy it for 50 quid, then I would. But double that now. I have to limit that, and it has to be a game that I go without. But this for me is the perfect game. This is perfect. This is an amazing game, and I would adore this. On to one's nearly ending though. We have Gods of Atlantis 2. So this is a MOBA style game. It needs a different type of name though, because you can't call it a MOBA. That's multiplayer online battle arena. This is just a tabletop version. So it's a motor. I don't know. I don't know what you'd say for this one. This is fun. I played this solo, playing both sides, and I had a blast with this on Tabletop. No, not Tabletop Simulator. Was it the other one? Can't remember what it was on, but I had a blast playing this. And look at that, 52 quid for the core box. In the core box you get just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 heroes though. And you go back to that thing which I was saying about Apex Legends. There isn't enough here in the core box. You would get very bored of them very fast. And these cost 40 quid for 5 characters each. So if you look at the main game, price-wise, you're talking 250 quid probably to own everything. My God, that is ridiculous, and is basically priced me out of this. If there was more heroes in the box, you know, if there was double the heroes in the main box, and even if the hero boxes weren't sodding 40 quid a piece, if they was 20 quid a piece, then maybe I'd be interested, but because of the price and being a solo-only player, you know, I don't mind playing both sides. I've been wargaming since 1996, mostly playing solo. I am fine playing solo, both sides. It's child's play to me, but the fact is the price has just put me off. And even with the, what do you call it, 22 quid a month, you know, that's really expensive for someone like me. That is a lot of money to put into something like that. It's such a shame. I wish there was more in the main box, because this game is amazing. The card play, the battle play, oh, it's sensational. This probably would be one of my go-to games, you know, skirmish games. This would be it. This would be a go-to skirmish game for me, and I'd love to play it. Love to put it on the channel. But it's just, I'm priced out. I'm priced out, and that's simply all it is. But if you're interested in this, then I would strongly recommend getting it, because this game is amazing. Really, really is. Sensational game. Next up is Skytear Horde Monoliths, which is basically a solo card-based game. I have been watching videos on this, and it's meant to be Hearthstone or a bit like Magic the Gathering. And in all honesty, they're games that I've never played, so I don't have the knowledge of what those systems are like. And from what I've seen, I couldn't finish the playthroughs that I was watching. I tended to get a little bit bored halfway through, and that's not a good sign. You can buy this for around about 40 quid, just the standard core box, so you just get the main cards and everything. And I might be looking to pick that up if I can find it cheap enough, you know, or someone selling it second hand. I might be interested in picking up just the core box to basically give it a try, but for now I am not interested in the 120 or 140 pound that the main one costs. So keep forgetting about that on the side. Where am we? Yeah, 115, so it's about 130, 135 maybe, with postage and VAT. It looks great. I like the card art. I like the whole idea of the battle system. It's just like I say, I couldn't get into the playthroughs I was watching. Maybe that's because they weren't good YouTubers. I do struggle with some of the YouTubers sometimes because they do faff around. But I got bored of the playthroughs, and if the core box I can find, which is this like here, if I can find that for like 25 maybe, I might try and pick that up just to give it a go, because that is more in my price range to try something, you know, something I could sell on if I don't enjoy it. But this price here, that is too much of a leap of faith for me. But it does look interesting in terms of the card art, in terms of the way that the game plays. So it's basically like a castle system where you get more coming on and on and on, and you got to defeat them, and they have to try and whittle down your base. But for now, I'm just going to look to try and pick up the core box in future. So now we're on to the latest game news, and what has been appealing to me? Well, War of the Ring, the card game. Against the Shadow is this solo and co-op expansion, and I've never played War of the Ring. It has a game that's always intrigued me, but as a solo player, I just couldn't play anyway. War of the Ring, the card game, is apparently meant to be pretty decent, but again, it wasn't solo. This makes it solo, and I love Lord of the Rings, and so I might look to pick up War of the Ring, the card game, and this solo expansion when it comes out. I'm going to be looking into this one to see how it plays and everything to begin with, but this one is definitely on my radar in future. Another one on my radar is Undaunted Battle of Britain. So I love and adore Undaunted Normandy. It is my World War II skirmish game of choice. It is very, very fun. And Stalingrad obviously has just released, but Stalingrad is basically the same as Undaunted Normandy. This one at least is completely different. Yes, it's the Battle of Britain, and Britain versus Germany over the skies of, I think it was it Kent or somewhere like that, or lower down, was it like Southampton way? Can't remember where it is. We're definitely on the English coast, but can't remember where the Battle of Britain took place realistically. But fighter pilots basically trying to protect Britain from the Germans bombing everything. This looks up my alley. It really, really does. I've not got a fighting game, you know, for planes and everything. The last sort of like Sky game I played was X-Wing, and I adored X-Wing. So I am interested in this one. Hopefully it comes solo in the box. I have a feeling it won't, and they'll probably release a solo expansion for this, but fingers crossed that it will. And if it does, I will probably pick this up, because this actually looks really interesting, and I love the film as well. Remember that with Lovejoy in it? So we're on to Controversies now, and the first one is this update from Mythic Games, because this confused absolutely everybody. This sentence right here. So the last update confirmed that the game is entering production. Okay, you reached the necessary threshold. More and more have paid the contribution. We are now at 203% of the minimum amount needed, and close to 250% of the maximum quantity required by our factory. That is Tory party spiel for giving you large numbers and meaning absolute bollocks. It is. So this is 100%. This is the 100% of the minimum quality required by our factory. This is what they're at in terms of contributions. They are at 81% or something like that, if you consider that off that. It's about 81% as of last Tuesday. So they were at 81% needed to actually get this game produced. This is lies. This is spiel and lies. I'm sorry, but it is. I'm not going to stick up for Mythic Games on that one, as much as people are calling me a sodding shill for saying I've paid the ransom. Go stuff yourself. This, though, is lies, and I don't like it. Just say that's 100% of what you need, and we're at 81% or whatever. Just say that. But you put big numbers in to say, oh yeah, it's definitely getting made. It's definitely getting made, even though it's not. It's so wrong on so many levels. It really is. It's super, super wrong. I detest it. As soon as I saw this, I detested it. Apparently, they've got over 3,000 backers now, 3,200 or something, according to Discord. So they have gone over the 100% they needed now, which we said they would anyway. That was my faith in that I had a feeling that people would easily get the 30% and it would be closer to around about 50. That was my guess. I have a feeling now it will be probably close to 40. So that is what it is. It's getting made though. But I do have reservations about the quality of what's getting made. I need to see better pictures than this. Really do. Because I'm not happy with the looks of these. Hopefully these are just test prints for first runs, you know, trying to see if it works. Because a lot of these miniatures, the scale have changed. So this, if you look at these with the thin legs, with the arms that's thin, the hands, the heads proportioned, these have gone more true scale. If we go down here, you'll see bit dumpy, bit wide-legged, wide arms, wide big hands, big head. This is heroic scale. And these are the prototypes, right? So the prototypes are in heroic. The miniatures look like they're going to be in true scale. My issues come from the female miniatures. Because look at those legs. Those legs, as someone who's played wargames for a long time, you drop these off a 3.5 foot table, which most of us playing on, accidentally, they have the possibility of snapping. I've seen it before. Look at this bloke's legs here. Look even at Sledge. He's completely different, right? You look at someone like Ash. Look at this. Ash squatted down a little bit. She got the big hips going on. And look at her thighs. Look at them thighs. Whoa, great. Bigger hands, bigger head, and then you look here, it's completely different. She's still squatted down, but her legs are thinner, thighs are thinner rather, arms thinner, head's a bit more scrawny. What do you call it here? I can't remember who this one is, but she's quite slim. She's got that hourglass figure going on, right? As you can see, her legs are super, super scrawny. This one here, super duper scrawny. This one here, super duper scrawny. It's disappointing. It really is. I hope we get some better pictures and some pictures where it shows these minis will not be breaking. Look at that one here. It's Arini, isn't it? Is that her name? Can't remember. They're super scrawny. And they can snap. I've seen it plenty times with miniatures over the years. Playing with miniatures since 1996. Seen it super so many times. I didn't get this upgrade, by the way, but it looks good. This actually looks really, really nice. But yeah, I know these were prototype resin, probably 3D printed miniatures, and they look great. But I wish they kept the heroic sort of scale. Basically, because I have reservations about them. And I definitely have reservations about how Mythic inflating figures. Don't like that at all. Then we have the Aeon Tresspass Odyssey controversy with Quackalope, someone I don't watch. I mean, this game, it looks great, doesn't it? You know, miniatures wise, everything. It looks amazing. I think this has had a lot of work go into it. You can tell this is a labour of love from the company, and I'm sure it plays really, really well. It's loved on Board Game Geek and everything like that, isn't it? But it's going to cost you $389, $511 if you want everything. £511 if you want everything. You're talking nearly £700 probably. with VAT and postage. My God. Jesus Christ, that's terrible. Probably nearly 700 quid if you wanted the lot. Priced me well out. But it looks amazing. And apparently there's a TTS demo, because I would like to see how it plays. I've not looked into this game at all. Not looked into any videos. I didn't even really know it existed till the controversy on Saturday, because it just doesn't... It just wasn't ever on my radar, basically. It's a big, massive table hog. Apparently it's pretty good solo, but it's meant to be a bit like Kingdom Death Monster, which is, again, another game I've not looked into or not even heard a peep about, realistically. Meant to be fun, and I'll try the TTS demo, but yeah. They got into a big stink, didn't they, really? So, you got the statement regarding Quackalope, and this was handbags at dawn. It really, really was. I think both companies are in the wrong. Absolutely. Basically, you've got two titans slinging mud at each other, and it's petty, it's pathetic, it's handbags at dawn. It is basically Hugh Grant versus King George, you know what I mean, in fighting over Bridget Jones. It's it's exactly that. It's petty and pathetic. So he gets paid money for doing videos. Okay. He gets paid a lot of money for doing videos. Okay. There's a lot of jealousy towards what he charges for videos, I feel, coming from people, and the fact that he gets paid for doing videos rubs people the wrong way. It's just what it is. That doesn't bother me. He gets more views a month than I have got in the entirety of my 7 years on this channel. Probably gets more views a month than the entirety than I have ever earned on YouTube in my 10 years of doing YouTube. So, take that for what it is. Yes? More views a month. He gets the traffic, and it's the same as in football. You want the big stars, you gotta pay for them. So that doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is the fact that he was basically trying to say, oh, you know what, if you give me a little bit of money, I can fudge some things and put you in top 10s and things like that. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's the wrong aspect for me, and I hope more people focus on that than the payment, which seemed to be, from when I was looking into it, what a lot more people were angry about, the fact that he got paid when it should be the other things that he wanted to be paid for. Yes, he's got a studio and he's got a team of people and everything, and he has to pay them all. Fair enough. You know, he ain't like me, who lives in a council house and puts it on the kitchen table and plays while the kids are at school. You know? Completely different. Completely different. And you can say what you want about his style of videos and how he goes about receiving funding, and suddenly it's the best thing since sliced bread. But that's his personal thing. For me, these shouldn't have slung the mud at him first and received the thought process from him better. Because he was very clickbaity in the two videos he did. One was all sorts of praise, one was all sorts of anger. And the anger one gets the views, but they should have received that better. And during the Kickstarter conversation, should have not instantly said, oh, we won't work with anyone who demands money off us for better reviews. They should have said, oh, well, he had this points and this points and this points, and that is fixed because in the reprint, that is fixed. And it wasn't the game for him, and this one will probably be more for him, which is what they say here, something like that. One of them would be better. So you got two people slinging mud at each other, and it's just handbags. Really is. It's petty, it's pathetic, and the fact that this wasn't released straight away, it was just that statement of, oh, well, this guy demanded 7,500 off us. That was so bad. That was really, really bad. You can't just come out with accusations like that. You really can't. See, because of the way he is as a channel, and he's massive, people have got this impression of him already, and they were waiting for him to mess up, right? They're waiting for him to do something or say something wrong, and then they can jump on his back and gangbang him, basically. There's the trouble with being one of the guys up the top, yes? And one of the guys who's out there. You'll always have these people who want to just gangbang you. Just literally just jump you from behind and start smashing you. You're always going to have that once you've got to that position up the top, and he doesn't help himself. I've only watched a couple of his videos before when I was looking into Super Fantasy Brawl and stuff, and Six Siege, obviously, when that first come out, because I was like the only channel that received it. And yeah, it's just, I don't like his style of videos, but people do. And this can have ramifications that run down to channels that are lower than him, basically. Channels who only have 5,000, 6,000 subscribers, or just under 10,000. And they receive Kickstarter games. And all of a sudden, they don't get paid for those Kickstarter games. And all of a sudden, they do something positive. Oh, yeah, I absolutely love this game. It was amazing. And that is their genuine thought. Because they might only get 3 games a year received. I've only ever received 2 in my entire history of my channel. And both of them were really positive. And I've got 2 upcoming. And my worry is that if I genuinely do really enjoy those games, because they're by people who I like their previous games. Well, one of them is by someone I like the previous games. The one is also a game that I am desperate to get hold of because I enjoyed the playthrough online of it digitally. That can this have ramifications for us lower down, and all of a sudden people don't start trusting smaller YouTube channels and all YouTube channels? Everyone can get lumped into it. And that is where I feel he, as someone higher, should hold himself to a bit of a better standard. Hopefully it doesn't come back onto any of us, basically. Hopefully this just stays with him, and then people are going to forget about it really fast. There's nothing here. Nothing. It's just 2 people who don't want to work with each other anymore by the looks on it. That's all it is. And they've basically thrown the dummies out the pram, the pair of them. Both of them in the wrong, both of them are right. There's nothing here. It's a 50-50. Sorry. If you think differently, but it is, I think it's petty and pathetic. That's all I can say, really. That's my thoughts. Thanks for watching.